Hey, Daddy Star Trek here with a book review. A new Star Trek Strange New Worlds book called Asylum by McCormack. It's interesting book. Interesting book. Uh, not not a galaxy romp. Not an action story. Uh, Pretty much completely character driven, and everything I've just said is a compliment to the book. What's interesting about it, especially I thought, was the subject matter. Uh, Basically, the story is there are these aliens who, one faction of which who are held down on their own planet by another class of citizen. And these lower class citizens are stripped of their language and their culture and are often imprisoned. So there's this is like original Star Trek as far as making political commentary, which has to do with what's going on right now and what's going to happen, unfortunately, within the next few months. I'm speaking in December of 2024. And we know that in 2025, Trump plans to send immigrants back to where they came from. And I don't think any immigrant is safe, documented or not. But this book touches on that a lot. It's quite obvious that this is a commentary on the thousands of people south of the United States border who are seeking asylum, very similar to the people in this book. And just like the people in this book, asylum in the United States is not what many of these people were hoping it would be. In fact, it's almost worse because they escaped from such horrible circumstances and came here with hope, and they'll be sent back into those horrible circumstances. And what does this have to do with the book? Everything. That's what the book is about. So if this kind of subject matter bothers you, if it upsets you, I don't know. You either need to read the book or not read the book. I think there are some people who should read this book, and maybe it would get them to thinking, just like Star Trek has always done. And that's when I'm tipping my hat to Ms. McCormack for writing this, that she would take up the mantle of old Trek and tell a story about things that are going on in our world today. And that's always been my favorite Star Trek. That's what I grew up on as a kid. A lot of people are like, oh, why does Star Trek have to be so political? Why does it have to be so woke? Well, Star Trek has always been political and it's always been woke. And as long as it's Star Trek, it always will be. So, I highly recommend picking up this book. It's a quick read. Like I said about the last book that I reviewed, it's not Moby Dick. If younger folks are listening to this right now, you could read this book easily. It's not filled with hard words and so forth, and it's got a lot of dialogue in it, which is written in I should say this too. The dialogue is written exceptionally well in this book. You can actually hear she McCormack has got the voices of the characters down. So when you hear Pike talking, it sounds like Anson Mount. Same with number one. You hear Rebecca Romaine. There's just no doubt about it. So Ms. McCormack has done a great job with the dialogue. There's also a fun little part in here where you find out that Pike is at least a little bit responsible for creating the Kobayashi-Maru test, and that it was in fact Pelia who created the test to teach her students that they could fail. And that was on the suggestion of Pike. So we get a fun little thing there where you find out exactly where the Kobayashi-Maru test began. And that was cool. I thought that was a really neat little thing in there. So anyway, I'll stop blabbering. I recommend you go on Amazon or to your local bookstore or wherever you can find this book and pick it up. And yeah, it's well worth it. And for what it is and for what it does, I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 4 stars. That's what I'm going to give it. 4 out of 4. So I hope you enjoy it. This is Daddy Star Trek, signing off.